Hello, explorers. I'm Dana. Welcome back to our channel, Christian that Explorer, to yet another amazing episode with the legendary guys with Baba. Baba, nice to meet you.
Good to meet you officially twice now. How are you?
I'm good. I'm good. I'm so inspired by the Babubuka thing. I may not know much about it, but I was really inspired when I read about it on YouTube and all that. Yeah.
Yeah.
And also your conversations when you were at the film
At the film club.
I was inspired, and I was like, I need to call Baba to inspire the other generation. Why not?
I mean, one of my values is to inspire.
Yeah.
So, definitely we are in the right conversation if you're talking inspiration.
Welcome.
Thank you.
Introduce yourself to my audience.
Of course, I'm Stanislav Sadjabichin Tumukasawala Biokubo, the artist known as Babaluku, founder of Bavubuka Foundation, Bavubuka Dynasty, and Bavubuka the Nation, and also the space. My living purpose is to transform lives. I'm in the business of transforming lives.
Yeah.
And how do I do that? For using music and the arts to unify diverse communities.
Yeah.
So that's been literally my cloud of ensuring that I serve my people, stand in solidarity with the communities, and inspire the next generation.
We are so proud of you.
Thank you.
I'm one of the people who are proud of you. So before we go into our conversation today is about exposure. Christians being exposed. Yeah. But before we go there, Baba, I want to appreciate your music. I think your music was so on top during 2017, where you got a lot of awards and all that. And yeah, I think you were the first person to bring about the Luga. How do they call it?
The Luga Flow?
Yeah.
Yeah.
And it inspired so many other youths to start it. So that is a good inspiration.
Yes.
I wanted to realize that.
Yes.
Go ahead.
I mean, when you talk about the Luga Flow movement, I always say it's a gift from God because we don't take the credit. We take the grace in understanding that when we were passionate young people, we found something that we dearly loved. And part of it was reinstated in our language. Like, how do you preserve your language? And using language as the key to honor your heritage, to keep your culture alive, but also to advocate, for your community. So I think that the Luga Flow movement and its commencement was just a beautiful unifier, teaching communities to have a voice, teaching communities to stand up for themselves, giving young people the ability to dream and have imaginations, and casting different ideas, for the generation to lead this country forward.
Okay.
Yeah.
Yeah, and that's why I called you for the exposure, because I mean you're exposed in music, in the community work and all that.
Yeah.
So before we go deeper, like, what is exposure? Like, how do we explain exposure to someone who doesn't understand it?
Exposure is simply you being presented. Sometimes you expose naturally to your environment.
Okay.
Right? So saying that I'm exposed alludes to you have experience, you have seen, you have done, you have journeyed, you have traveled, you've developed ideas around your life from being able to have various experiences.
Okay.
So when you say exposure, that is someone who's literally put a dent in their journey here, and they're out there exploring constantly, getting into new environments, choosing to live a life not necessarily of comfort, but one that challenges them to grow. Exposure comes from us being challenged to traverse what our normal states will be. Like you can't just sit there and claim you're exposed. You got to be moving to expose yourself. Yeah.
Yeah, and what I hear, like, it comes with challenges.
Yes, definitely.
That is true. So what are some of the challenges that you face, especially as a Christian? Exposure, some of the times what we believe exposure is just going out. But I think that is not true.
I mean, it depends on the depth in which one literally seeks to understand what they're experiencing. You know, going abroad is not necessarily the only form of exposure.
Okay.
Like right now, a kid in a village is being exposed to nature,
Yeah.
and they're learning powerful ways to be able to interact with God's divine appointed conversations. You know, when we are close to nature, we are closer to God.
That is very
So
true.
that being said, you can literally see the reason we move towards nature is because it's the closest mediums in which we can communicate with the, you know, the supreme
Almighty.
being.
Yeah.
So at the end of the day, I think for me, exposure depends on the individual depth that one is seeking. You know, some people, all they've been exposed to is their confine in their gates. Others, they know
Talk
what's on the
about it.
outside, you know. Others
Yeah.
never leave their houses. And they can be exposed to a lifestyle of caging themselves. You know,
That's
so
true.
to each their own in the exposure space. But I like to say that I seek to have the exposure that brings me closer to the divine in me, at least to bring the spirit of my purpose, you know, to serve while I'm here.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Okay, so what I hear, like when you're exposed, actually, it's very easy for you to know your purpose.
It's never easy. Sometimes it's by grace that one is able to early on find out what they love to do.
Okay.
But others, it takes a while to discover.
Okay.
So the process literally just gives people the ability to know that I need to find me. I need to know why I'm here. I need to understand what's my sole purpose to my life and why am I living.
Okay.
You know, so I think those things are personally things that one focuses on as an individual to be able to get on that journey for themselves.
Okay.
Yeah.
Okay, Baba. So I want you to understand, you know, some of the things that we expose in can either influence us positively or negatively. For example, if you're exposed to a life kind of that is not really faith aligned, it's very easy for you to divert, maybe to be depressed or to divert from your faith or anything. Like, what are some of the challenges that we face as Christians when we expose like ourselves to things,
I
and how do
think,
we mitigate them?
yeah, I think, you know, capping as Christians, I would speak to humanity in vastness. When you don't have a spiritual application or a spiritual vice in which you can access the supreme power, the supreme God, the understanding of your divine nature, it becomes complex for you to navigate everything on the planet
Okay.
because you do not honor. We are a spiritual being having a physical experience,
Yeah, that's
so
true.
we're already godlike.
We are already godlike.
Yeah, you know, and so us being a representation of the God within ourselves requires us to know the portal of where our inspiration lies or comes from, or what's our source.
Okay.
I usually talk about source, like what's your source of expression, existence, and being? Because
What's
once
your
you're in
source?
that
That's very
conversation,
important.
it's easy for you to understand ways in which you navigate, how you find solutions. And you talked about faith, like how you hold the faith to trust and be able to envision more
Okay.
that you're capable of,
Okay.
even amidst the challenges you encounter along your journey being here. So I just think it's about people really understanding where their source is. It gives you the ability to know, you know, both, you know, the positives and the negatives and how to navigate.
Okay. Do you have any personal experience about exposure
I
that you can
mean,
share
I
with
grew up
us?
exposed. I'm a pastor's, or you know,
Yeah.
I'm a pastor's son.
PK.
You know what I mean? And so, was I exposed to the Christian world in multiple realms? Of course, I was. In many dimensions, to times where I actually fell out with being Christian just from the suppressive nature of how I felt like the church wasn't treating young people.
Okay.
And so cautioning you to understand that God is God for you.
For you individually.
You understand me? So if you best God on your pastors, best God on people in your church, that's the wrong outlook. God is divinely in a covenant with you
With
as
you.
you.
Okay.
So when I understood that, I literally forgave myself and forgave others
Okay.
and realized that my journey here now can only be held with what I do with the divine vested power in me to interact with the Most High.
Okay.
So today, you know, I definitely see a lot of young people in churches struggling with identity, struggling with how to serve,
That's true.
struggling to make meaning. And of course, it's a dangerous place. And I have a phrase I say, you can't live in a place seeking righteousness while the people you are around are playing what you would consider what we call a spiritual bypass. A spiritual bypass is to act godly, yet you're still in the flesh, struggling to let people know the realities or the truth of how it is to literally be centered around a God energy. And so for me, over time, I've learned that I got to tell my truth. I got to let people know that, hey, of course, when they look at you, they judge you. They don't think you don't have faith. You don't, like, you have to look at something where to fit a demographic. What's the aesthetic of being a Christian? You know, like there's a criteria. You know what I'm saying? It says, come as you are, right? So at the end of the day, that radicalization of the God space that's designed by human is what I encourage young people to stay away from.
Okay. The one that is
Because
designed
it says
by
God,
human
God is spirit, and those who worship him do what?
and spirit
And truth.
and truth.
You understand me? So let's not forget these things,
Okay.
you know, and let us apply ourselves from an understanding of what man-like ideologies or doctrines do to hinder people from knowing God's mandate for them.
Okay.
Yeah.
Okay. Wow. Wow. That's inspiring. So what as we are exploring, what if God says no to certain things? Like, and how does even God say no to certain things? Like, I understand your side of like how like Christianity sometimes like determines who you are by what people say that, but yet it's supposed to be an individual relationship with God. And in that way you can explore like everything that God has really put before you. But what if God says no to certain things? And is there something like God has said no?
I think God said a big yes when he created you.
Okay.
He encasted you and gave you dominion on this planet. That was a big yes.
For
You
everything.
know, for everything.
Okay.
Because he created it for your leadership, your stewardship. And so the question is, when you talk about God's big no, you know, of course, people have bested a lot of theories on the 10 Commandments. But the reality is that we've all understood that humanity is fed off a seed of love. Because the highest commandment is love your
neighbor, love
as
your God,
you.
your God, love your neighbors, you love yourself.
Thank you very much. And once we understand that, we are able to understand that there's no complexity in you thinking that equates to a big no.
Okay.
It was a full, elaborated, simple truth
Okay.
that was commanded that I must love myself as much as I love you.
Okay. So that means
And that's a big yes for me. That's why I'm giving you that analogy. Is that as long as I'm as long as I'm a great steward to understand what that means, then how is God going to say no?
I know. So that means there is no.
For God, it's been a yes. He put us here and outlined our lives here to be able to fulfill various assignments. And it's us to play the lifestyle of alignment.
We have to align.
What you would try to consider and know is when you're out of alignment and you recognize I'm out of alignment. But he has given you the will to understand that once you align, everything is a big yes.
I want us to talk more about that alignment.
Yeah. And
What do you mean by being in alignment?
So a lot of people don't know that you are on assignment. A lot of people are just puppets of the ministry. You know, they think, oh, I'm serving God, I'm a Christian.
Okay.
And you go and sit in church. Like they prepared that chair for you to be there for 40 years, sitting in that one corner.
Okay.
And you miss out on entire God's plan for you while you're positioned in one frame. You know?
In that kaku.
With this God of ours of abundance.
Yeah, you know. Mukama.
And so
Mukama, the Bible says that ensino kugira kabebe nabya Mukama. Yeah.
So wokiwulira kino kyenkugamba nti abantu bamanyira okutwala Katonda ng'eddiini ate nga Katonda talina ddiini. Mu butonde bw'okututonda, mu butonde bw'okututonda yatuwa, era mu kutuwa n'ateekawo ebitubeezaawo. Ebitubeezaawo ng'amakulu gaabyo ffe tuyina okuba nga tubirabirira. Ye mandate era ye stewardship eyo gyenkola ki gyenjogerako nti ogenda mu kkanisa bakuyita endiga naye ddala Mukama yakufuula ndiga. Oyo yatonda byonna ebikwetoolodde n'agamba biibyo labirira era bw'onaalabirira nga naye naakola ki naakulaga abundance yange kuba ensigo ogisigira bwereere neekulisiza emyaka 3.
Kale, in other words, toba ndiga naye obeera maybe follower weyo church.
Ate era Katonda tatuyita kuba bagoberezi kuba ffenna atuwa obukulembeze mu assignment yaffe. Owulidde? Kikulu kuzuula assignment yo.
Whether it's in church or community.
Ne bw'oba ogenda mu kkanisa ng'akatebe ako koolonze manya assignment ekutuuza ku ki? Ku katebe. Ate era bw'ogituukiriza Mukama tabba era talimba atuukiriza ye ekigambo kye yakola ki?
Yayogera.
Naye abantu abasinga batuula mu butebe obwo ne batunuulira bapasita nga bakatonda ne beerabira ne Katonda ye kennyini ekire bakikuba naye beerabira batunuulidde bituuti bati.
That is true. So our relationship has to be between us and God.
Yes.
Not
the gathering is to edify abooluganda n'ab'emikwano. Okiwulidde? Naye nga
maybe no call a family like a community.
Anti ffe ng'ekkanisa buli bwe tuli kkanisa tetulina kugenda mu bizimba okuzuula ekkanisa. Nawano kati tuli mu kkanisa. Ffe ng'abantu bwe tuli tuba kkanisa. That's why you say my body is what?
Is a temple.
Thank you very much. Mubituukirize bannaaye.
All right. Okay. Another question. Like, how does exposure support us emotionally, physically, and spiritually?
Exposure is like, say, one who seeks knowledge. If you commit yourself to seek, you will find. And so that's why you see those who claim not to be exposed. It's not by disenfranchisement, but it's because maybe they're not out there to seek.
Yeah. Exposure is to seek.
Okay, you must seek knowledge. You must seek the experiences that your spirit calls to advance your life. You are not just going to advance by sitting there.
That's very true.
So for me, there is nothing in this world that operates without the spiritual. So if you're seeking to advance yourself in spiritual application and understanding, you will definitely understand your power in the physical realm. I have a slogan I use. It said, I'm constantly physically tested, but always spiritually protected. I understand that well.
Physically tested,
but spiritually protected. Why is that? Because I understand I'm a spiritual being. I can't contradict that. If God says I'm a spiritual being in his physical form or mind, I will apply myself with where I'm protected. But that will not negate that I'm actually a human being in a physical, like with this flesh. So with the flesh, I'm being tested constantly. With the flesh, I'm encountering issues and problems daily. But how do I triumph and how do I win? By acknowledging and being aware that I'm a spiritual being. And in a spiritual space, I'm constantly evolving. I'm constantly being strengthened. I'm constantly aware that everything is temporary. And I'm constantly reminded that I'm the steward of the ship.
Preach it.
So then when I come to the altar and I surrender and I render my offering, I know that in every condition and in every situation, God has ordained it for my lesson.
Amen.
And so it progresses me, it grows me. So even my biggest challenges have turned out to be my biggest blessings.
Amen.
And so you get to understand that at no point are you a mistake. At no point is the condition or the situation you're going through a mistake. It is for you to pick your lessons and choose different. God gives us the power of choice.
That is true.
And so we have to administer to, do we understand what God has vested with us? Like I like planting avocado seeds. You know what I'm saying? I'm big on, I want to grow more trees. And why do I do it? It's because I want to fulfill directly the mandate of God to me. Like, how does God show his abundance? It's by
abundance.
Thank you very much.
Okay.
So he tells me to plant this one seed of a tree, knowing well that it maybe feed 2 generations when I'm dead and gone.
Yeah.
Right? And practically, because I'm aware that that's the definition of abundance, and I'm practicing it, guess what happens? I get to live a life of ease. I get to submit to God's blessings in a way that now I know him in me is working to serve others.
What can I add?
And so, yeah, like I say, plant you a seed and start a conversation directly with you and your God. And understand that through your actions, he will reward you. You know, and when we do good, or when we go through times where we're struggling, he will always remind us. He will always bring someone to encourage. He will always bring someone to put you in a corner and question you. You know, one way or another, there's always a message for us to turn or tune into our divine calling.
Yeah.
There's always a message somewhere. In this world, everyone is out there seeking and searching, but it's not on the outside. Everything is within.
It's not on the outside.
Yeah, whatever you're looking for, you won't find on the outside.
Okay. So do we need to go for exposure?
You dive in. The real exposure is for you to feed yourself inwardly.
Okay.
And be able to then illuminate with the knowledge and understanding you've garnered in that inward quest on the outside for people to also see the radiation of your truth.
Okay.
So
Wow.
this is about you honoring yourself, honoring the power of God in you, and administering that which he has assigned you to. So the big question, do you know God's assignment for your life? That's the bigger question.
That big question, that is the reason as to why exposure is important. You seek wisdom, you seek knowledge, you seek understanding.
Yeah, it's important to have comprehension, literally around your understanding of God with you, God within you, God for you, and God about everything you want to do. Once you understand those cycles, I think for me, that's given me a lot of calm. Whether I get money or I don't get money, the idea that I'm in conversation with the spirit space within my soul allows me to know everything is by design and purpose.
Okay.
So I await for my seasons patiently. I await, you know what I mean, for the blessing as he has mandated me to serve. I call myself out when I'm lazy and I know that I think I'm actually slacking off. I need to get back in line. You know, I'm able to do all of that because it is what the assignment requires.
Okay. Do you have some scriptures that back up exposure?
I mean, personally, as far as exposure is concerned, I wouldn't say I got the scriptures that back up exposure, but I think the scriptures that allow you to understand, you know, where you stand in the life that you're living, you know, and where you position yourself to know what you're up against. You know, what really in this life have you comprehended as your foundation to be able to stand strong and take on the world.
Okay.
You know, and that's John 3:16.
John 3:16.
You know, I mean, but people need to understand that when you are growing up around places and spaces that are filled with turmoil, challenge. That's all exposure, right? Like you're
Yeah,
exposed to
that's
so
true.
much negative, not just energies, but even aesthetics of the people around you,
Negative
the things
environment.
surrounding you, the world, what you're seeing on television, you know, and your mind is in a depressive mode. You definitely have to be able to recognize, you know, what spirit is fighting or what are you up against.
Yeah.
You know,
What are
so
you fighting?
yeah, so you can be able to stand in your vested space of, you know, confronting, you know, whatever that is. You know, so for me, it has been very interesting to have grown up in church and then having been able to fight my battles. Some I'm still fighting, but also administer the understanding that, you know, we don't wrestle against flesh and blood, you know,
You wrestle against principalities.
you know, the spiritual warfare is real.
It's real.
And so that's why I say you got to find your relationship with the spirit
Yeah.
and understand how it protects you, how it guides you, and how it's able to center you around, you know, spaces and places that strengthen, you know, your existence and your being. And that's what a lot of people are challenged by,
Thank
you
you
know.
so much.
But for me, you know, I just encourage people, you know, find your way.
Find
We're
your
all
way.
here going somewhere. I don't know if you know where you're going, but find your way.
way.
However, whichever, may
Find
God
your
have the
way.
grace to
And
guide
be
you long enough.
aligned.
Yes,
With the
aligned to
faith.
find your way.
Yeah.
You know,
Okay, yeah. One of the scripture that I can talk about is Ecclesiastes 49 that says, like, two are better than one. Like, much as you have to look inside of you to find who you are, you need an environment that is safe. You need an environment that backs you up. You need people to stand with when you are falling, when you are tired. Like, you need that exposure of right environment around you that will help to nurture or to groom, to bring out the best of who you are.
yeah, of course. God's mandate always. You know, they talk about how blessings are where we gather. You know, and that should be a symbol for people to understand that coming together is actually a higher form of blessing.
Uh-huh.
You know, and it
Coming
avails
together
us.
is a higher form of blessing.
Yeah, and that we are able to not only celebrate or not only share, but we're able to raise a God energy that literally transcends, you know, our
Okay,
physical
yeah.
understanding. You know,
Wow, thank you so much, Baba.
you're most
We are
welcome.
coming to the end as we conclude. Any remarks, any advice in line with exposure?
I mean, like I say,
You
find
are
your
very
way.
exposed, Baba.
Find
Tell
your
us
way.
about those moments.
Find your way. We'll be here for days if I was to share the things I've encountered. You know, from Kampala to Hollywood, to my life in Canada, and to just literally my trials and tribulation as a preacher's son. I think I'm humbled by God's grace over my life continuously, my parents' prayers. So shout out to my mother, you know, RLP dad, you know, we continue to live out by breaking the struggle. We don't live for the struggle anymore. But I encourage all young people to know you are chosen. You are here for a specific reason, and that God and you have a mandate and a relationship to build. So find your practice, find your element, seek a place for you, you know, to understand that regardless of what the world has told you, God sees you different.
Yeah.
You know, so find that out for you. And when you understand it, you'll be assured that therein will lie your blessings, you know, your freedom. I always tell people, like, people talk about overnight fetuli mu struggle. People talk about visible. Listen, we are put here to be living in the land of the living. So when will we live if we are all struggling?
I know.
So you
Try
have to
to
also,
live.
try to have the gratitude to not forget that God put you here to live, and God put here to understand the abundance that He has availed you, and that He has already given you everything to feed you, to clothe you, and to be nurtured, you know, to have a long lasting life. It's about the disciplines that we adapt to that shape that truth for
Yeah.
us to achieve
That
that.
disciplines we
Right?
adapt
So let's
to.
know our disciplines and what we need to do. Humbly always exploring my disciplines, you know, to continue improving my access. So at no time is there an end goal not to triumph or not to win. Just work on the discipline and God will do the rest.
Yeah, that discipline in other ways, like the character.
Yeah, your
Yeah,
character,
character.
the way you love people around you, the heart of sharing, being genuine, you know, meaning what you say, being a person of not only influence, you know, but a person of excellence.
Excellence.
You know,
Excellence.
that's godlike. You know what I'm saying? So a lot of our young people watching this, or a lot of people in church, you know, it's important you evolve from the old-fashioned narrative and move into a liberated space of leading and guiding people to find God for themselves
Amen.
so they can win in their lifetime here and not be stranded on church chairs crying in poverty.
Yeah. Thank you so much for watching us.
You're most welcome.
Yeah. Thank
Any
you
other
so much.
questions, hit me up. You know what I'm
Yeah.
saying? And don't even forget, it is actually mentioned that when you are able to honor the footsteps of those who are here before you, God will mightily bless you.
Yeah.
So don't forget to honor your ancestors.
Yeah. Thank you for watching. Bye.